Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. I was waiting a little bit because I've seen people appearing and disappearing. But let's start. So thank you everybody for coming to this session. I think for the last year we've done quite a lot of progress. I think the seminars attendance is quite encouraging, given the difficulties of time zones between different countries and so on. But I guess that this session is to try to see where we're going in terms of workforce development and training. And I think I have my own ideas, but I think it would be good if each of us, because we are very few, gave some ideas on where you think we should go. So we know everybody where we understand where everybody is. Is that okay? Yeah. So who wants to start? Nala, would you like to start? I'm not sure. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Albert.
It's okay.
If you look down, for people that are having trouble, if you look down in the left corner of your screen, you should see a mute, unmute button, just like a regular Zoom.
Yeah, I know.
And a start video.
Yeah, but I see Alex appearing and disappearing. Oh, Alex, would you like to start then? Hello? All right. Can anyone hear Alex?
No, I couldn't hear Alex.
No.
All right, Roland, I can hear you. Would you like to start? Or maybe we can do the chat.
One thing for everyone to check is if you go to that mute button and hit the little arrow to the right, make sure that your microphone, if you have multiple microphones on your system, that the right one is selected, because it often reverts from a webcam microphone back to the system microphone when it starts up.
Yeah, I see, for instance, Terry trying to connect, but that's been for a while.
Let me go talk with the meeting organizers and see if I can find out what's going on.
I just was able to enable my microphone by clicking on the little lock where it says at the top of in the URL where it says whova.com. There's a little lock, and when you click on that, at least on mine, it allows you to turn your microphone and camera on. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Jeff. The very top link of your browser where you would put your URL all the way to the right, there will be, you should see something that says your microphone and camera are allowed.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, would you like to start while people, I think they probably can hear us. It's just that we cannot hear them. Would you like to start the discussion, or someone else that we can hear?
I'm happy to, put a few ideas on the table that came up. I think have come up many times in this meeting. But I think the idea. I think the idea of using our platform maybe alongside others that we heard about, particularly yesterday from Insight and the global health work, as a way to encourage global mentorship. And we know that there are many talented young investigators and trainees around the globe that are largely, not at this meeting, but also aspire to be cohort leaders in their own right. And the question, I think, for me is how can IACC, be an enabler of allowing them to get the right training and experience from more seasoned cohort leaders around the globe.
Okay, yeah, that's good. So, and how would you think we could fund that kind of a scheme? Would be a self-funded? Would be just the enablers of, making the contacts, or?
I think others hopefully will contribute to this discussion, but I maybe I'm being a bit optimistic that that particularly industry groups that have a global presence often are interested in sponsoring training programs and potentially a mentorship platform. I think in part because it reflects well on on their contributions to the global community, and in part many particularly many firms, but I would imagine academic organizations are looking to prime their pipeline with young talented people. So developing those relationships is often a good way to potentially look at future employment opportunities or future academic positions. So I would say industry partnerships, as well as potentially work with the academic institutions that are often affiliated with the cohorts themselves.
Okay, and so I know that some pharma companies they do develop Ph.D. training programs with universities. I'm not quite sure whether they have training programs that expand across universities, but that might be a way also of trying to engage with them, because some universities, not all universities are, well, maybe some people might disagree with you, but not all universities are the strongest in everything. So we could play a little bit on that.
No, but and I hope others will join this conversation. But I think, for example, in the United States, there's a number of pharmaceutical companies that are sponsoring genetic and genomic science and training programs of certain types at historically Black colleges and universities, which obviously is a very important important part of our research community that is often unrepresented as researchers. And so the translation of that to the global platform would be to for similarly sponsoring programs at colleges and universities that are under-resourced and from under-resourced settings and from low middle income countries. So I think there's at least some precedent for that.
Okay. And what about peer-to-peer kind of training or support? I think in some schools, probably mainly in the UK, that they use a lot this idea of working in groups and children helping each other. Do you think this kind of, and that can be done online, so this kind of model could maybe work well between PhD students on different settings and could help strengthen collaborations? Has anybody ever kind of tried to do that?
I am not 100% sure, but I certainly will defer to any others with that may have had exposure to peer-to-peer training.
All right,
it looks like some people are still having trouble accessing the microphone, so I would encourage the chat as a vehicle to put ideas forward.
I'm wondering, let me try something.
Terry says that peer-to-peer may work best with clinicians and that the United Kingdom has done this well.
All right. Let me. I have a link directly to the Zoom meeting. I wonder whether I can share this. Okay, okay. Alex, I have an email. Okay, microphone not working. All right. So, can people try to use this directly, the Zoom meeting directly? See whether that works better.
You want us to see if we can get into that meeting?
Yes, see whether someone that whose microphone doesn't work can get into that. And
yeah, if your microphones aren't working, you're going to have to allow your browsers to access your microphone. Everyone should have the capabilities of unmuting in here in this meeting, but you'll have to just make sure your microphones, your browsers will allow you to make that change.
yeah, so Terry, why do you think this would work particularly well with clinicians? This is probably a bit of an unfair question to be responded in the chat, but all right, okay. All right, okay. And what about kind of emerging technology? So when a new technology arises, no one really has a lot of expertise. So I was wondering whether we could also work out a mechanism of funding someone to go to learn those techniques or those analyses, and then bring them to the consortium, because many of these techniques may not arise within us, and that would be a way of spreading the knowledge. All right. Okay.
This is Terry.
Oh,
We heard you, Terry.
Oh, good. Okay, now I have
yeah, no,
both
we can hear you.
platforms open. So let me close one. Did that work?
Was that through the Zoom link?
Yes.
All right, good.
Good. Okay, so I'm on the Zoom. So sorry. In thinking about different ways to engage, to use a peer-to-peer model, it seems as though if clinicians are looking for, like specific answers, usually they don't want a huge, education. They just want a point of care effort. And so that's why it seems as though that model that the UK is using of the genomic medicine centers, where there are recognized experts in specific places that clinicians can turn to. The challenge is to make people aware of those, right? So how do you let someone in Brazil or Namibia know that they can contact someone at a consultation center?
Okay, so I guess maybe someone knows whether there are tools to do that. So that would be I guess a kind of a fancier tool than maybe Slack or something like that, where you
probably, Albert. Yes.
okay.
I'm not sure what the model is in the UK. Perhaps someone on the call could put it into the chat, although I don't know if the chat now will transfer over to Zoom from UHOVA. We'll see.
I don't know about that, because I imagine that basically works in the area of clinical genetics, isn't it?
Well, but also in pharmacogenetics, for example. So say you had, a variant that you weren't sure, is this one that I really need to be concerned about? You can consult the guidelines, but maybe it's a new variant, or maybe, a patient is on a drug that's not exactly the drug that's listed in the guidelines, but is a close, correlate of it, or, that sort of thing. So I don't think it's only for clinical genetics. In fact, my suspicion is that reaching clinical geneticists in many parts of the world is not nearly as difficult as getting information on novel genomic variants that are important in complex diseases for primary physicians.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's the kind of thing that Insight does for Lynch syndrome, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there is a question in the chat. Can we use Malco Program as a springboard to test some of these ideas? Establish peer-to-peer calls every month. Yeah, that's a good idea. And report back how productive and unproductive this had been. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
And could you maybe, for those of us who aren't as familiar with the Malco program, just a thumbnail on what it is, what it does?
So I'm not entirely sure either, but I think they develop during COVID. They develop a mechanism of transmitting information in a quick way between different regions in Chile. I don't know whether.
Well, so it's when you Google it, it says it's the Male cohort, but they must have developed some kind of a platform on top of that.
Yeah, that Alex probably knows better. Alex?
I don't know whether everybody can hear.
Yes.
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Great.
Yay.
I've transferred to the Zoom. The other thing didn't work. So no, thanks everyone. I think what we heard over the past few days is that actually the Malco cohort has some, I guess, internal funding and are looking at, I guess, between few of the investigators to either have postdocs who will come and work over there or have some sort of engagement where there will be additional funding that need to be sought. But in a way, if they already have a program of what they're looking for in the particular areas where, in a way, there are gaps, would not that be a first springboard in a way where we can have peer-to-peer identify somebody in a different cohort and have that sort of open IHCC call to say that these are, I guess, the new set of activity that we are planning for next year. We are testing this peer-to-peer postdoc to postdoc who will be working on exactly the same area and exchange what they've learned so far and whether that works. It may work, it may not work, but just testing at least some of that because they already know what they're looking for. They already have a particular project, a particular package, if you like. And from what I heard, I think it was yesterday, they are looking in a way for somebody to come over for a year or 2 years. So there is already an unmet need to discuss. And if it's a particular technique, it's a particular recruitment strategy, analysis of data. I think they're looking at their baseline data, whether somebody from another cohort could actually feed back on that. So in a way, not just have it as a peer-to-peer activity advertised on the website, but have exactly what sort of activity and what type of expertise is needed. And then if that conversation starts, maybe future conversations will sort of be sparked from that, just as an idea, as I was listening yesterday.
So it was not just focused on COVID then?
I don't think it was only COVID.
Right,
I think that
okay.
they, but I may be wrong here.
Well, it sounds like it
Okay.
might have been accelerated or,
Yeah.
you know, expanded during COVID.
But so some of the ideas that we discussed in the past were developing some kind of junior club. We feel that the critical skills of many PhD students and young postdocs sometimes are not as good as they should be. But you need to learn. You need to learn from seeing others being critical about that. I don't know whether something like that could work online, or we would just add more meetings, mainly with the time differences.
I wonder if the, I know we're running a successful seminar series now that I think is roughly monthly. Excuse me. I wonder if the idea of interspersing maybe to test the waters, a journal club into that schedule, and specifically, going a little further, having young investigators maybe be the discussants or the ones that bring the topics. But I like the idea of a journal club if it's not going to be distracting from other things. But I think since we already have a following with the global seminar series, maybe that's a place where once every quarter we can have it as a journal club and see how that works.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think. Yeah, I didn't. I was not thinking of being very often, but I think most students don't even. So the first probably the first time that they face some kind of critical assessment of a paper is the first time that they submit a paper and they get the reviews, in a way. Well, whatever they've done with the supervisors before. But that was an important part of my training, going to junior clubs and looking at more senior people and less senior people into the same paper and coming up with different problems or knowledge from a given paper. But yeah, I guess we could see whether we could maybe try to sneak those when we don't have a speaker for the seminar.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Alexandra has her hand up.
Oh, sorry, Alexandra.
No, I think just following up on that, I guess the issue, and I think thinking back of the educational webinars and how we identify people from the cohorts who will come forward to talk to us, is there any merit, and I'm just sort of putting this out there, is there any merit in asking the PIs for each of the cohort to maybe have an email or circular to their team saying, is anybody interested in contributing to training and workforce development in various capacities from this cohort, and join sort of the wider IHCC group? And then if they have a bit of an ownership that they are doing something from their cohort, there could be a link between the different cohorts of this sort of, I guess, younger investigators. And I know we've talked about the definition of a young investigator and postdoc or student, whoever that may be in their team, because they may not know that there's an opportunity. They might get feedback from IHCC back to the cohort sort of as a summary, but they might not know that this is even possible for them to contribute to. I don't know, just as an idea.
So what would you like me to write down then?
I guess identify training. It's not a lead, but training representative. And I think, and that's that training, it's the journal club, educational webinars, the peer-to-peer cohort exchange, whatever the person in that cohort would like to contribute to, and in a way say what they can do. Because it would help them maybe on their CV for their career development as well, to say that they have done something like this, and because of that they may do something within their cohort, and we learn from one cohort to another, and then it could be sort of like a ball effect on the other cohorts.
Okay. Well, that's definitely something that we can try to make in the next year. What about publication and collaboration?
Just want to let you know that Sarah has her hand up.
Oh, sorry, Sarah.
That's okay. Obviously I represent Dementia's Platform UK here. And so what we realized is that we had a lot of researchers, and that goes across all levels, whether they are undergrad, postgrad, PhD, postdoc, applying for our cohorts. And then when we were checking in with them a year later, 2 years later, the projects were not moving on. And so we realized that when we were asking them, well, you know, why aren't you accessing these wonderful cohorts and taking it forward? It's because really they lack the skills to analyze large cohort data and longitudinal analytical skills. So it's a bit like a sweetie shop. They come along to DPUK and think, oh, I love all this data. And then they realize actually they don't have the skills. So what we've started to do is we put on these training academies. We have a beginner's academy for longitudinal for clinicians or for people who have no skills whatsoever. And then we have advanced academies, which I've just completed one the whole of last week for those who want to do the advanced longitudinal skills. And then we have a third training event called a datathon, where they get a chance to access multiple cohorts. And we run these all online so we can reach people from all over the world. And so what we're hoping to do is that these training courses will really establish the new generation of researchers that can analyze and access and analyze new cohort data, multi-cohort data, cross-cohort data, because I think that both the IHCC, DPUK, we know these are wonderful resources, but that researchers are ill-equipped to actually even process or manage these large cohorts. And I think that I'd like to think that we can work with the IHCC. We've developed these training programs. We're moving into the second year of doing this now. And so how can we help, as in DPUK, as in I'm affiliated, share this, share what we're doing, and say, well, we've established this 1 week program. It's all online. And because I think that this is a need, and the reason I identified it is because I was doing all the mentoring myself, and it became an unsustainable model. But yeah.
So they are a week's long work. It's a week long workshop, each of the three.
So the Advanced Academy and the Beginners Academy are 1 week each, once a year. And the Datathon, before COVID, used to be 3 days in person, but since COVID, we've been doing those now for 4 years. We've taken those online over 2 weeks, and the attendees check in only 3 hours a day, 3 days a week, but they work in groups. They have a research question to work on. They have 6 data sets. We have from all of our cohorts have given us permission to use 6 cohorts. And we provide 3 months access after the event. And then I provide mentoring as well to produce a publication and an output from this.
All right. And what would you need from us, from say Alex and me, to make this work and to offer it to IACC?
I think it's us sharing with you the model, and for us to say to you, well, this is our model. How can we say to IHCC, here is our model, let's promote it together. Let's say to IHCC, this is the next DPUK event, but it shouldn't be DPUK. It could be DPUK IHCC event. Let's start promoting it wider. Let's start saying to researchers globally, you know, we shouldn't be having 20 people to our events. We should be able to expand this and say to IHCC members and researchers, this is of benefit for IHCC cohort researchers as well. You know, we have 60 cohorts across 3.5 million people. We have researchers, but IHCC, it's even bigger. It's, yeah.
Yeah, I guess probably the difference is that you can access the data in the same place at the moment, isn't it?
Yes, so for the purpose of training, what we do is we give them a temporary data access agreement. They sign up for it and they have access to the data on the portal. So these are training events which they take away skills which they can then take back to their IHCC cohort. And so these are transferable skills. So if we put our heads together, we could work out a way until your platform is built and established. We could work out a way to work on this together to benefit both of us.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Thank you very much, Jeff.
Yeah, I really like this idea. Thanks, Sarah, for bringing it up. I'm wondering if you know, as we emerge from virtual meetings and the pandemic, I fully appreciate the online platform and its flexibility and versatility, but I'm also wondering if you are thinking about, you know, when we have face-to-face meetings of various types, particularly when cohorts are getting together, IACC meetings in particular, would there be an opportunity to have like a hands-on satellite event or something that, you know, is more in person than virtual, or and not that they're exclusive, but I'm just thinking, wondering if you've thought about that.
Yes, so as we emerge out of the pandemic now, we will be taking more and more events to face-to-face. So we've got our annual conference in March, and we will be launching our ECR hub, and then we'll be thinking about which of our events do we start taking back to in-person, like we started back in 2017. And I think the Datathon, with the 5 to 6 cohorts over a 3-day workshop, is the ideal place to start. Where, yes.
Would that work for next year to the American Society of Human Genetics meeting or to ICDA, which would be, so obviously it's next week. So I imagine next year will be another one. We could organize it for the week after or the week before. So people that travel there can actually go to the course on the same trip. Would that work, or will be too much asking from us in a year?
I think a year.
To be honest, I'm not quite sure where the meetings will be, but anyway, we can think about it.
It's just a thought. I was just listening to this. Sorry, I came late. I was at the data standards. I was a little bit torn where to sit, which meeting to attend. But I just think that if we're starting something, we should share this and work together.
Okay, that sounds good to me. I think we
So
done very well on these two. Yeah, on these two boxes.
That's a question of.
Sorry.
Sarah, for this training you have already, is there any fee for that? So people have to pay for that?
So the first year we made it absolutely free, but what we found was that we had people who didn't turn up, which unfortunately is what happens when you have a free event. And because we give our lecturers an honorarium, we were working at a loss. So the following year we charged a nominal amount, which is £100 only for a 5-day event, which compared to the cost of some courses, it's really very little.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm just thinking about the low middle income country. If they want to participate in this training, I'm not sure they have.
We had a rule that for low middle income countries it was free, and then
okay, great.
And we had bursaries available, and so we did work out a structure in our first and second year.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's a very good resource for the IHCC, especially for the training.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Terry. Sarah, thank you so much for suggesting this. I think, this is something very concrete and very mature that we could move forward. I agree with you, Albert, within the next year, and maybe we ought to make this a priority so that we make it happen.
Okay, sounds good. So we only have 4 minutes now. Any ideas of, I think this publication collaboration opportunities, I think publication might be more difficult, but collaboration opportunities. Anyone, any ideas? Maybe publication as well. Maybe it's just me that is not able to think of on anything, but
So Alexandra has her hand up again.
Oh, Alex.
Hi, it's me again. I guess the one aspect that we could possibly write about, it's developing this model. And Sarah, I don't know whether you had, it sounds like a really great training model that could be adopted in a post-pandemic era for quite some time if it's virtual. And then if there was funding in the future, obviously have some of this face-to-face. But is there any merit in thinking based on Dementia Platform UK, we developed something for the IHCC, and this is our model, this is what we are doing, and this is how others can adopt if they want to do it more formally. I don't know where it could be published, but in the first instance, I guess it could go on the IHCC website, so there people can see what we are doing and have a bit more of a structure around it. I can't think of a journal, I know there are journals of medical education where this would not really fit, but there may be a journal that would have a home for this, but in the first instance, just seeing how this model is developed. But I guess if it needs to be written up, there has to be, I guess, more of a metrics-driven, data-driven approach, surveys of the, I guess, how effective how productive this training has been to the cohorts. So in a way, have something to capture and maybe have it like a 2 or 3 year project rather than something just over the next year.
So you mean some kind of white paper on our trainer model based on DP UK experience?
Something along those lines.
Yes,
All right.
so John Gallagher, Director of DP UK, wants me to write up the training programme, which I've been leading for the last 3 years. So it could possibly be that I write it up in a way that it's a model that can be adopted. And I think that model adoption then IHCC could then write up in a bespoke way for IHCC.
That'd be great.
All right. Okay. Good. Thank you. Nala?
Yes, hi, hello everyone.
Hi.
I think I am, because from Qatar Biobank, I think from we were approached by IHCC, and we are designing like now training modules with different perspective, like for 5 modules now the communication, and that's starting from recruitment, study design, IT infrastructure, what is the difference between different systems and the storage of data, accessing of the data. So as from our point of view experience, like we put some objectives, what tasks will be, and hoping that we will design the modules accordingly to the approvals, and will be starting from February. I am hearing a lot of very nice suggestions and recommendation about that. So yes, we will start working, but we will need the help of other people and the expertise as from our experience, like the best way for implementation of such training modules together, if it will be on weekly basis or monthly basis, and what will be the duration and the design of it. Of course, we will work. We have the team started. We put the outlines and the duration, if it is convenient or not. But even yes, I agree that sometimes the free access things, they do not encourage people. They will register but not attending if they are paying. But we are willing to have any suggestions. What will be the best? Because this will be even the first time for us to implement such modules. Yes, we attended. We have now the maturity with ISO biobanking and the CAP accredited biobank and the ISO certification for ISMS and QMS. So we have all of this expertise, and we have participants recruited already from the public, from the population, and whole genome sequence data, returning of data. So IRB, everything, for as a biobank, as a population, but smaller side. We have now we have around 40,000 participants in the biobank over 7 years. So it's not like we can recruit very fast, but because the visit itself is very long for collecting the data and samples, 3 hours for participants. So this is our experience. Of course, I'm open for any help, and we are willing for collaboration. The teams are excited in the biobank. Each department, they put their objectives and how they, but we need, of course, guidance and the recommendation from your side, how you will implement it in the best way for the benefits of people, the members in IHCC.
So Nala, just that I understand, so the plan is to develop 5 modules, training modules. You just still don't know how long they will be, and you are looking for input on different, or someone taking the lead on some of the modules, or just
the feedback we already have from our members, like the scientific team, how you will design scientifically, writing the protocol, recruiting the communication team, how they approach the community, what to do, what are the best way, the experience for social media. The IT team will explain what are the infrastructures which is required for biobanking, the lab team will be, because we have the comparison between the automation and the manual techniques, what we do that, what is the benefits from each one, because sometimes this, if you don't have money, what is the best, because we didn't start as an automation at the beginning. And so all parts of the biobank will put a modules which will fit for, we see that it will be fit for the purpose, but of course it depends how you want the people, who are interested, as you mentioned, that targeted population, and if they will attend or not. So
okay,
this
so
is another
you're basically looking to know who will be interested in the course or in the training.
Yes, and if they are interested, and
What
if
they need.
and if it is the needs of the
Okay.
people, the members of HCC, because maybe we think that this is what is their interest, but they didn't find, they are not interested in this topic or something like that.
All right, but could you develop almost like an index of the 5 modules so people
Yes,
can
yes,
look
yes,
into it and
yes, we
identify
share
the gaps?
yes, we share it with the with Scott and
All right.
so yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I just wanted to jump in here that we have the next session that is starting the.
Yeah.
roundtable
Sorry, I'm
no
overrunning.
problem. I didn't want to cut anybody off.
Thank you very much, everyone.